Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. There is no other word than disaster to start the video with because we are speaking about a real disaster. After the games of today, international break, the Netherlands will play Koopmeiners, Turkey will play Kenan Yildiz. Well, we go towards mid-November, December of fire with 9 games until the month of January, and we are extremely short. I just made a count, I will show you later, but with 11 players that are starting, we have only, excluding the 2 goalkeepers, only 5 options on the bench. That's extremely short. Hoping to recuperate a few players in the meanwhile. Ragazzi, put a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we have a lot of things to speak about the disaster situation, especially at the J Medical of Juventus. Corriere dello Sport is speaking obviously about the man that we will speak about in today's video, Dusan Vlahovic, with the title Mal di Dusan. Dusan is not feeling well. But they are referring not only to the injury, but actually to 2 things. The first one is Vlahovic chiede un'altra Juve. Vlahovic is asking another Juve, and then ma intanto si infortuna. But in the meanwhile, he gets injured in the game of yesterday. We already spoke about Dusan Vlahovic's words after Switzerland-Serbia, that 1-1, where he spoke a lot. The words are there. We spoke about it yesterday. Then it was a controversial video with a lot of people pro-Vlahovic, a lot of people against Vlahovic, and then there were some people that were saying, Beppe, pay attention because he's actually not attacking Juve. He's not attacking Thiago Motta, but he's actually speaking about his time at Serbia, where, if you remember well, for a lot of games, he was playing extremely wide, doing these defensive tasks. And that's what he's referring to solely about Serbia. And it can even be correct. We will never know entirely. It can even be correct, but it doesn't excuse that the words are not beautiful, especially for him. Because what he's saying is, I'm missing easy goals because my other coaches, who he's referring to, we will never know, are asking me to run and to participate to the defensive work. And I can't do this. He's blaming the others. He's blaming the others because they are not using him properly. And that's actually indirectly admitting that he can't perform if the situation is not ideally suited for him. That's what I wanted to say about the words of yesterday, about the words that were extremely controversial about Dusan Vlahovic. That's not good, that's not beautiful. You can't say that when you are the most paid player of Serie A, most paid player by consequence also of Juventus. Pay attention, Dusan. But anyway, that was for yesterday. About today, it's even worse. Because even with the words, my conviction was he needs to play. He needs to play against Milan and he needs to perform well. He needs to do extremely well against Milan, but also against Aston Villa because at the moment, that's our player. So no, I am not celebrating the loss of Dusan Vlahovic because of his injury. I am not celebrating because it's good, because at least he can rest a bit and at least he can, come back mentally. No, when you lose a player, it's a disaster, especially in the situation that we are in today. Look, I'm not a doctor. He just arrived 10 minutes ago to La Continassa, to the J Medical to do his test. We will know more about it. I can tell you that when I was watching the game yesterday, because the images that are going viral are actually from my television that I recorded yesterday, that moment of when he's going out of the field. I'm not a doctor, but when I see the gesture with the hand, Dusan Vlahovic doing like that, keeping actually his with his left hand, he's keeping his left leg, and with the right hand, he's doing like that. Ragazzi, with the experience that I have, I can tell you that's not beautiful. That's worrying, and I'm not the only one that is worried. It's also Juventus that is worried. He will miss probably the game against Milan, probably Aston Villa. Let's see how long. If it's a muscle fatigue, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, and he's back. If it's worse, ragazzi, it's tough. Huh? He spoke about it yesterday after the game, saying, I felt it twice, that it was stretching. This doesn't sound good at all. At all. And we missed someone, because Dusan Vlahovic, without turning around the pot, he's the player that scored the most goals. Of course, he's a striker. Of course, he's his role. You can't expect that from Kalulu, but he's the one that was scoring goals. He was scoring penalties. He was scoring open game goals. He was doing well in a lot of games, and he was also missing in other games. He did ups and downs, but he was an important player, extremely important player for Juventus. Without him, it's tough, and it's not the only one, because Nico Gonzalez will already miss Milan and also Aston Villa. They tried to recuperating right after that game. But since this morning, hot news, breaking news, Douglas Luiz will not be able to play against Milan. He will try to recover for the game against Aston Villa in Europe, in Birmingham. Let's see, It's really worrying as well, because it's a player that stopped on time not playing against Stuttgart in Champions League, you all remember. And since he's still not ready, still not back, so that muscle fatigue for Douglas Luiz is starting to extremely worrying me. But it's the entire situation. 3 times muscle problems for Adzic. You have this. Oh, ragazzi, if you are looking, as I anticipated you in the intro, about the team that Thiago Motta has at disposal, it's a huge one. Okay, it's a challenge for him to play without a number 9 that is probably not 100% believing in the characteristics that are not ideal for his game. Remember that he prefers players like Zirkzee. Yeah, nice, fantastic, well, but it's a challenge until a certain moment, because if you have players that are limited, the challenge can be really huge and difficult. Look, I was watching, ideal formation for all of us should be Di Gregorio with Savona, Gatti, Kalulu, Cambiaso in defense. Look, there is not a lot of choice. Locatelli, Thuram in the middle with up front Conceição, Koopmeiners, Yildiz and Weah. But Bremer is absent. Cabal, Adzic, Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, Vlahovic, Milik. It's a lot offensively. And you have only, except of the 2 goalkeepers, you have only 5 players on the bench. Danilo, Rui, Fagioli, McKennie, Bangula. It's tough in terms of rotations. It's extremely tough in terms of rotations. So yes, it will be a period where we have to pray that Douglas Luiz, Nico Gonzalez, Adzic recuperate as fast as possible, that it's not that worrying for Vlahovic, and that Milik is doing miracles, because some rumors are saying that he could possibly be ready for the mid of December. Luckily, we have the most informed player of Juventus now, that is Timothy Weah. Yesterday he played with USA, beating Jamaica 4-1. What a game of Timo. Dribbles from the left side, entering, going with a post, and a beautiful goal. What a goal when he was again on that left side. Ball is coming from Musa, Milan player, to the Juve player. Boom. Weston McKennie, 2 assists. One has been not given because it was an own goal at the end, but 2 assists for Pulisic. Juve, Milan. Great partnership between these Serie A, Juve and Milan players that will play against each other on Saturday, 6 p.m. Italian time. There, let's hope we will not give too many gifts to Pulisic, but hopefully we will receive a lot of them from Musa. But is it sure? Are we sure that Timo will play? Big question. Logically, yes. Logically, of course, yes. But then if I'm looking at the players at disposal that you can see here on the image, Yildiz, Weah, Conceição with Koopmeiners in the back, the only one that is there from the bench is Bangula. Bangula that can potentially replace Yildiz on the second half, that can potentially replace Weah as a striker there, with Weah and Yildiz that can interchange position, so you can have a Weah there or you can have a Yildiz there, could be, depending. But is it that the ideal situation, knowing how many games that we have to play, how many minutes that we have to play, and knowing that at the moment Bangula never changed the game from the bench, always did well, or when he did well, it was from the start. So having actually Bangula as a striker, or on the left side instead of Yildiz, with Weah, that offers more possibilities from the bench, because he can enter instead of Conceição, he can enter instead of Yildiz, he can enter instead of Bangula. That can be possibly the starting 11, or at least offensively, from Juventus against Milan and maybe even against Aston Villa. Pay attention, not sure that Weah, because he's really a joker now. Who would have thought in the summer that Weah would have been the joker, or that would have prayed that we found a solution to start Timothy Weah? Tuttosport is saying also something else. It's reporting the words of yesterday during the Kings League of Marchisio. They are saying, Koopmeiners reminds me of Nedved. Also Nedved in the first year needed a bit of time before unlocking himself. But from the moment that he will score that goal, you will see again the Koopmeiners at the level of Atalanta. Look, I'm satisfied with the performances of Koop that showed us intelligence, showed us physicality, showed us quantity, but we are still missing that quality sometimes in finishing that we are missing, that we saw a lot of time at Atalanta. and I'm totally convinced. But now there is a sense of urgency, because now without the goals of Vlahovic, someone needs to take them, and Koopmeiners would be ideal in that moment. So hopefully Koopmeiners plays well this evening, and hopefully he doesn't even play. He comes back at La Continassa and he's ready for the next games. And also praying that Kenan Yildiz is doing well with Montenegro, then coming back as well, the same situation, because we need Kenan Yildiz. One that could have been useful offensively is Cambiaso. Why didn't I mention him? Because without the players in the back, well, Cambiaso will stay there on the left because there is nobody else. Hey, it is what it is. So remember, after an international break, when he started to play up front because we were missing Conceição, that's something that he can't do anymore from the start, at least. Cambiaso, that today there was a beautiful article from Serie D, so fourth Italian division, to 60 million euro value. Hopefully he stays. And then a few words about Kings League that yesterday was introduced in Italy. It already exists in other countries. Yesterday it was there. Announced in Torino, in our beautiful Torino. Yesterday were a lot of ex-Juve players representing Kings League. Luca Toni, Claudio Marchisio, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, don't forget, yes, he played 2 years at Juve, and the Scudetti that he won that were then taken away from La Federazione, he always said that he feels they are Juve Scudetti. He was there. Pirlo, Alex Del Piero, Gianluigi Buffon. The only one was there, Francesco Totti. A bit strange there. But anyway, the other ones were all ex-Juve players that were representing it. I was a bit shocked to see so many Serie A people that were actually sponsoring Kings League. That is a 7 against 7. That is way more entertaining. That is actually 7 against 7. They are playing. There are some rules introduced by Piqué when he was thinking about it. There is a mix of ex-football players, mix of YouTubers, personalities that are playing. It's more targeting a youth sector. But I was really, really surprised to see that that fusion between Serie A and not. And then I was extremely surprised. I was stood up from my chair when I saw the moment that Fedez, that probably people outside of Italy will not know, but it's a famous rapper in Italy. And for the people that are following a bit of fashion, ex-husband of Chiara Ferragni, he has a team, Boomers, and Luciano Moggi will be the vice president. Ragazzi, when you have that passion about football, you always find a way to come back. So Luciano Moggi will be there. Will be tough for me to decide which team I will support, if I will watch, if I will follow, because Luca Campolunghi, there's a really great friend of me. He started also his team. He's president of a team that is called Zebras FC, so referring to Juve because a big Juventino. You have Claudio Marchisio, that is the head of competition. So it's nice. And the final will be played in the Allianz Stadium on the 12th of January, the final of the nation. So it will be more countries, I believe the winners of every country that will play a kind of World Cup there in the Juventus Stadium, Allianz Stadium, which is always beautiful. And when Juventus have the possibility to do these kind of things, they are always a step ahead of everyone. Ragazzi, I hope you enjoyed that small, short video. Put a maximum of like, don't forget to subscribe. Grazie, forza, Juve.